hope you're having a good evening. Here we are Tuesday night, and we're all gearing up for tomorrow, which will likely be an active weather day across the DMV, and for that matter, across the mid-Atlantic and most of the country, from Texas and all the way over to the East Coast. Let's start you off with a look at our futurecast. Everyone likes to know what's going to happen in the future, and here it is, 6 p.m. Tuesday, but let's advance this for you, and you can see how clouds are going to continue to build overnight and then into early tomorrow morning. Wet weather is going to probably hold off for the metro area, at least for the evening rush hour commute, or the morning rush hour commute, I should say. So good news there. But the farther north and west you go, using the district as your center point, most likely to be looking at wet weather across the area. And then we'll see that line of stronger storms begin to advance from the west. That's going to move toward the east as we head through the morning. 10 a.m., I-81 corridor, looking at the heavier rain and stronger thunderstorms, along with those gusty winds. But then moving ahead until noontime, that's just going to be to the east of the district and the Beltway. But Manassas and Leesburg and Frederick, using this forecast trend as your guideline, it's going to get a little rough around here with those gusty winds. May even find a brief spin up, but it's going to move rather quickly. So by 2 o'clock, it's already east of the metro, getting ready to move across the bay. We could be looking at some delays across the Bay Bridge, even some closures as this initial line moves on through. And then once that happens, look what happens. Our skies begin to clear out a little bit. Our winds are from the south. It's even going to feel a bit on the humid side tomorrow for some of you who are sensitive to that stickiness factor. But depending on how much sun we see, especially off toward the north and west, could very well be looking at some thunderstorms redeveloping after sunset. And those storms are likely to lift off toward the north and east. And at this point, it doesn't look like it's going to be a huge impact for the immediate metro area, but rather north and west of D.C. We're talking Frederick County over into Washington County, Hagerstown, Winchester, the Panhandle of West Virginia. We'll watch this very closely for tomorrow evening. And then the cold front finally moves on through, and that's when we are going to look for our skies to begin to partially clear and our wind direction to change. So let's break it all down for you. We are going to be on storm alert for the day tomorrow, timing 12 p.m. to 4 p.m., at least for that initial round of stronger storms. Heavy rain, could be looking at some wind damage, isolated tornado threat. It's there, although it's still very low at around 2%. It is a little bit higher just to the south and east. So the Storm Prediction Center, they have now expanded the slight risk to include pretty much everyone in Maryland and Virginia and the district. And you can see it shaded in yellow here. And once again, that is for the day tomorrow, especially from 11 o'clock until about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Let's widen the view out a bit more for you. If you do have travel plans tomorrow to Norfolk, to Raleigh, the Outer Banks of North Carolina, going to want to keep a real close eye on the forecast and perhaps have your First Alert weather app ready to go so you can track the line of storms as they advance to the east. On top of that, our tornado risk for tomorrow, as I mentioned, D.C. metro area, Virginia, most of Maryland, all of Maryland and most of Virginia, I should say, are very low, about 2%. But then once again, you head south of Richmond into Norfolk and then over to eastern North Carolina. It's still low, but it's just elevated a little bit more. So we'll head in a little bit closer. And you can see what we're talking about here, that very low risk inside and around the Beltway, but it's not at zero. So could we see a tornado warning tomorrow? Absolutely. Could we see severe thunderstorm warnings? I'm thinking that's going to be more likely than not. And of course, that'll be during the midday hours. In terms of that large hail risk for tomorrow, it's mainly across western Maryland, the Panhandle of West Virginia, a good chunk of western Pennsylvania and central Pennsylvania. But as far as the immediate metro area, we could see some hail, but mainly north and west of D.C., using the district as, once again, your center point. So we'll widen this out for you, and my goodness, it is a very active map with weather alerts across the DMV. We have everything from blizzard warnings to winter storm warnings up in Wisconsin and winter weather advisories in Minnesota, along with those blizzard warnings, and then a wind advisory and high wind warnings. And then you head down to the deep south where we have severe thunderstorm watches and tornado watches and severe thunderstorm warnings, and then gusty winds over into Dallas, a lot of flight delays in the Dallas area this evening. And then you head farther off to the west. This is behind this whole big weather maker in Nevada, looking at winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories. So head in a closer in, and you can see once again, we're looking at, it's quiet for now around here. However, I do believe that as we move into tomorrow afternoon, we're likely to see some wind alerts for the metro area, even off toward the west for the day on Thursday, where we could be looking at some wind gusts, perhaps upwards of 30, 40, 45 miles per hour, even stronger in the mountains. So heading in once again closer, no active weather alerts for you right now, other than we are looking at some stronger storms that are on the way tomorrow. So if you have plans for this evening, a lot going on inside the Beltway tonight, and we are going to be looking at dry conditions, although clouds are definitely going to win out. And those clouds are going to help keep our temperatures on the milder side, probably only dropping into the lower 50s inside and around the Beltway. It will be a little bit cooler in a few neighborhoods, perhaps a few upper 40s. So show you our latest for you with our weather maker. Rain, storms, damaging winds. There is that tornado risk. And once again, this is for midday tomorrow, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then once again tomorrow evening, the SPC, or the Storm Prediction Center, the impact level 1 through 5. It's a number 2. We showed you the map earlier, and we are looking at that level 2 to continue for the day tomorrow. It will likely continue into tomorrow evening, especially north and west of D.C. So this is an interesting graph for you, and it gives you a good idea of what to expect as we head through the next 48 hours. It's dry right now, but when you see the white line spike up, that means that we are looking at the better chance for heavier rain and widespread rain. And that happens midday tomorrow. And then it goes way down during the dinner time. And then you see a few blips where it jumps up and down. That's where we could be looking at some rain, even some thunderstorms come tomorrow evening. But a lot of this depends on just how unstable the atmosphere remains once this first line moves through and we start to warm things up a little bit, because the actual cold front's going to lag behind. That's why it's going to feel a little bit on the humid side come tomorrow afternoon. So how much rain are we looking at around here? We could use some rain. A lot of neighborhoods still have salt. Yes, dare I say salt from a winter weather event a couple of weeks ago that didn't really materialize a whole lot, but my goodness, they salted a lot in my neighborhood. It's going to be nice to wash all of it away. Could be looking at anywhere between a ½ inch to an inch of rain by the time this system moves across the area and clears the region by very early Thursday morning. Future wind gusts, it's going to be a windy day as we head through tomorrow. But in the meantime, from now into the overnight, those wind gusts around 20, 25 miles per hour. But they are going to begin to increase as we head through tomorrow morning and then into the afternoon. And those southwesterly winds, that's what's going to really push the warmer air into our area, that more humid air. And then once that front moves on through later on tomorrow night, it is going to cool down, and then those winds are really going to pick up, but this time from the northwest for the day on Thursday. So here's our future cast, and this one is now combining with a look at temperatures and the future radar and how we're anticipating, of course, the heavier rain that's going to arrive here. But once again, tomorrow evening, not going to be problematic at all. We're looking at just a few showers come tomorrow morning, and then moving into tomorrow afternoon. Notice those temperatures mid to late morning already in the lower 60s, and that's well above our normal for this time of year. Today we hit 65 degrees at Reagan National, and that's 12 degrees where we should be. So a warm or a mild day considering the time of year come tomorrow. But there's that weather maker, that line of storms moving on through come noontime, 1 o'clock. And keep in mind, this is just a guesstimate, a model forecast that gives us an idea of when we will expect to see the heaviest the rain fall in any particular neighborhood. And it looks like up and down the I-95 corridor, it's going to be anywhere between about 12 and 1:30. And then this is going to quickly race across the area, moving off toward the east, toward the bay, and even pick up a little bit more steam as it moves over the bay, because not a lot of friction to deal with. But those temperatures will eventually start to cool down as we head into tomorrow night. But notice they don't cool a lot behind that initial shot of storminess. And then we are going to see there's the chance for those storms developing once again come 8, 9, 10 o'clock tomorrow night, mainly north and west of D.C., and those will lift off toward the north and west, make that the north and east, with a few lingering showers behind. Our winds will change direction, and then our temperatures begin to fall. It's going to be a much cooler day moving into Thursday, along with those gusty winds. And as I mentioned earlier, National Weather Service may very well issue some wind alerts for the area, some official wind advisories perhaps. So with temperatures only in the mid to upper 40s on Thursday, those feels like temperatures are going to be a lot colder with those gusty winds. So here's our 10-day temperature trend. I'm liking this a lot. I don't like the temperatures cooling down to around 50 on Thursday, or for that matter, the upper 40s on Sunday. But I do like what I see for next week. And of course, those warmer temperatures in the upper 60s to middle 70s, that is going to really, really help get the cherry blossom trees around the tidal basin going. We're still expecting that peak bloom to be later on this month, toward the end of the month, and that will be just a little bit ahead of schedule. As always, stay ahead of all of our weather makers. We remind you of this often. Be sure to have your First Alert weather app ready to go. If you don't already have it on your smartphone, all you need to do is head over to the App Store or Google Play. I'm meteorologist Steve Rudin, on duty with Jordan Evans, helping out with this. Hope you enjoyed this. Stay safe tomorrow. We'll keep you updated right here. And as always, at WJLA.com and on 7 News. Good night.